A standard bottle of sports drink contains about 6% carbohydrate and a small amount of sodium and potassium. That formula was not chosen by a marketing department. It was worked out by researchers studying what athletes lose during prolonged exercise, and it is genuinely good at the job it was designed for. The job it was designed for is endurance exercise lasting longer than about an hour, in the heat, with meaningful sweat losses. Almost nobody drinking these is doing that. They are being drunk at desks, in cars, at children's football matches, and after 20 minutes on a treadmill. Situations where the formula is not solving any problem the body has, and where the sugar is doing exactly what sugar does. 7 things about the hydration aisle worth understanding, and 3 that genuinely hold up. Number 1 is the one with an actual medical consequence, and it is the reverse of what most people worry about. The usual note. Everything here comes from published exercise science, rehydration guidance, dental research, and the labels themselves. I am not a doctor, and this is not medical advice for you. For anything specific, particularly around illness or a medical condition, ask one. Where the evidence is contested, I will say so. I am describing labeling and evidence, not accusing anyone of a crime. First, what an electrolyte actually is, because the word does a lot of work in this aisle. Electrolytes are minerals that carry an electrical charge in solution. Sodium, potassium, chloride, magnesium, calcium. They govern fluid balance, nerve signaling, and muscle contraction, and you lose them when you sweat. The important one for hydration is sodium, and it is not close. Sodium is the mineral that determines how much water your body holds on to, which is why rehydration formulas are built around it, and why the others are supporting characters. That matters when you read a label. A product advertising a long list of electrolytes may be delivering trivial amounts of most of them. The number that decides whether it does anything is the sodium figure, and it varies enormously across this shelf. Number 7. Sports drink versus rehydration solution. These look similar, and they are engineered for opposite situations. A sports drink is built to deliver fuel and replace moderate sweat losses during exercise, so it is relatively low in sodium and moderate in sugar, and it is designed to taste good enough to keep drinking while working hard. An oral rehydration solution is medicine. It carries far more sodium and a specific ratio of sugar to sodium because glucose and sodium are absorbed together through the intestinal wall, a mechanism that pulls water across with them. That ratio is the entire point, and it is why rehydration solutions are effective in illness where sports drinks are not. If someone is dehydrated from vomiting or diarrhea, a sports drink is a poor substitute for a proper rehydration solution. Too little sodium, often too much sugar, and the sugar load can make matters worse. That is a genuinely useful distinction, and almost nobody knows it. Number 6. The hydration multiplier trend. The powdered sticks that took over this category in recent years are, in most cases, an attempt to bring that rehydration ratio to a general audience. The better ones are formulated on the principle I just described, with substantially more sodium than a traditional sports drink. That is a real formulation choice with real science behind it. 2 honest caveats. First, the ratio was developed for treating dehydration, not for topping up a person who is mildly thirsty at a desk. and a healthy person drinking one of these is mostly buying an expensive salty drink. Second, the sodium content is meaningful, which matters if you are watching sodium for other reasons. They are a good product used for the right thing: heavy sweating, hot conditions, long efforts, illness recovery. For a normal day, they are solving a problem that was not there. Number 5. The sugar and who it is for. A standard bottle carries around 20 grams of sugar. In a marathon, that is fuel. Carbohydrate during prolonged exercise measurably improves endurance performance, and this is one of the better established findings in sports nutrition. At a desk, it is a soft drink with minerals in it. The context is everything, and the product cannot tell which situation it is in. A cyclist 3 hours into a ride and an office worker at 2 in the afternoon are drinking identical liquid with completely different consequences. Zero sugar versions solve that by removing the carbohydrate, which also removes the fuel function, leaving a flavored electrolyte drink. That is a perfectly sensible product for someone who wants the sodium without the calories, provided they know that is what they bought. Number 4. Whether any of it beats water. For most exercise most people do, water is sufficient. Guidance from exercise science bodies consistently puts the threshold at roughly an hour of continuous activity, or shorter in extreme heat, before carbohydrate and electrolyte replacement starts to matter. Below that, sweat losses are modest, the body has ample stored fuel, and water refills what was lost. That is not a fringe position. It is the mainstream reading of the evidence, and it sits awkwardly, with an industry built on the idea that ordinary activity requires engineered hydration. Where these drinks genuinely earn their place is the long, hot, heavy sweating end of the spectrum. Endurance events, manual outdoor labor in summer, illness, and people who are what physiologists call salty sweaters, who lose noticeably more sodium than average. Number 3. The acid and your teeth. This is the least discussed risk in the category and the best documented one. Sports drinks are acidic. Citric and phosphoric acids are used for flavor and stability, and dental research has repeatedly demonstrated that frequent exposure to acidic drinks erodes tooth enamel. Enamel does not grow back. The pattern that causes damage is sipping over long periods, which keeps the mouth acidic for hours. That is precisely how these products are designed to be consumed. The mitigations are simple. Drink it in a session, rather than sipping across an afternoon, rinse with water afterwards, and do not brush immediately after. Brushing softened enamel does more harm than waiting half an hour. Number 2. Coconut water and the natural alternative. Coconut water is genuinely high in potassium, and it is a pleasant drink. It is also low in sodium, which is the mineral that actually governs rehydration. That makes it a poor substitute for a rehydration solution and an adequate one for casual use. It performs reasonably in studies of rehydration after moderate exercise, and less well when sodium losses are large. The broader point applies to every natural alternative in this category. Being from a plant does not change the physiology. The question is always the same one: how much sodium is in it, and does this situation call for sodium at all? Number 1. Drinking too much water, which is the risk nobody expects. Here is the item that reverses the usual message. During prolonged endurance events, a genuine and documented danger is not dehydration but overhydration, drinking large volumes of plain water, diluting blood sodium, and producing a condition called exercise-associated hyponatremia. Severe cases cause confusion, seizures, and have been fatal. It is not common, and it is not a reason for anyone to worry on a normal day. It matters specifically for people doing long endurance events, where the old advice to drink as much as possible was actively harmful, and where guidance now emphasizes drinking to thirst and replacing sodium rather than volume alone. This is the one situation where an electrolyte drink is doing something genuinely protective, and it is the opposite of the situation the marketing depicts. Not the gym for 40 minutes, 4 hours in the heat. So how do you actually choose in the 10 seconds you have in front of the shelf? Find the sodium figure and ignore the length of the electrolyte list. Ask what you are actually doing. Under an hour, water is fine. Check whether you want fuel or just minerals, and buy sugared or zero accordingly. And if the reason is illness rather than exercise, buy a proper rehydration product rather than a sports drink. Now the 3 that hold up. First, water, for almost everything. For ordinary exercise, ordinary days, and ordinary thirst, it is what the body is asking for. It is free. It has no acid load, no sugar, and no marketing budget. The bar for needing something else is higher than this aisle implies, and most people never cross it. Second, a genuine oral rehydration product, kept in the cupboard for when it is needed. Illness with fluid loss, a very hot day of physical work, an endurance event. Sachets cost very little, keep indefinitely, and are formulated to a ratio that has been studied for decades. This is the one thing in this category worth having before you need it. Third, salt and water and food, which is what the whole aisle is a convenient version of. A glass of water alongside something salty replaces the same things a sports drink does. And after real exertion, a meal replaces sodium, potassium, carbohydrate, and everything else more completely than any bottle. Athletes have always known this. The bottle exists because you cannot eat a sandwich mid-race. The pattern here is a little different from the rest of this shop. The science behind these products is real. The formulas work. The problem is not that they are fake. It is that they were designed for a narrow set of demanding situations and are sold for a very wide set of ordinary ones. Used for what it was built for, a sports drink is genuinely effective. Used as a daily beverage, it is a mildly salty soft drink with an athlete on the label. Read the sodium number and ask what you are actually doing